Good morning and welcome back for another garden tour. I did end up skipping July just because life was too busy, but I wanted to at least make sure I captured August. Unfortunately, July is kind of the height of beauty when it comes to the garden, whereas August, everything is getting tired, including myself. So it may not look as glorious as it did, but at least we can go ahead and look through. I did plant a cactus zinnia here. And this one's definitely cactusy. You can see a lot of my zinnias are kind of succumbing to disease. I'm assuming it's a combination of the massive amount of rain we've gotten, along with probably the fresh mushroom soil and compost kind of holding it in. This one doesn't look very cactusy, but I ended up really loving it. It's this really pretty light orange. So I'm probably gonna save some seeds from that one. Phlox still hanging on. It looks like my clematis is trying to come back. This Gerber daisy. The stems have been kind of short, so I haven't been able to use them for cut flowers, but still pretty. This zinnia too looks really bad. My pansies finally all died and somehow clover took over. This gardenia looks awful. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about it. I don't know that I'm going to save it. It's kind of a pain in the buns, so we'll see. My pincushion flower is still hanging on. That is a perennial, so it should come back. Oh, look at this. Little bee taking a nap. This zinnia also looks pretty rough. Look at all this powdery mildew. Someone gave me the suggestion of next time like succession sowing my zinnias, so I may try that. But they've been fun regardless. I'm still able to cut the flowers. The Lisianthus. So I really enjoyed growing this. It's absolutely beautiful. I've even got more coming. The thing I'm not really sure about is I feel like you need a lot in order to be able to keep cutting and keep enjoying. So I kind of want to dedicate a little bit more space, and I've been letting them dry out so I can save the seeds. But they were really, really awesome this year. This black-eyed Susan I didn't plant, and it actually had several stems like this that kept dying. So I did end up cutting a bunch of them back. That's the last one I have on this side, but the plant itself being perennial still looks good. I really enjoyed this Gaillardia this year. I'm kind of glad it switched from being yellow to red because I kind of wanted to try that color, and I do like it, and the bees love it. I think I'm going to start cutting some of these and like preserving the balls because I think they'd be fun in art, things like that. This zinnia too, very beautiful color. Pretty sure this is what the El Dorado is supposed to look like. So since I gave it enough space, I was able to fully see what it looked like. And my bees friend came back. I thought I killed them all, but it certainly lives up to its name. The bees very much love this, and I'm letting it go to seed and hopefully spread all over the place. Salvia is looking rough, but again, to be expected, end of season. This zinnia is also beautiful. I believe this is my giant coral, and it just has very lovely flowers. So I've been using that a lot in my arrangements. I still have some columbine living. I don't know why, but it is. And this basket looks a little rough, but it's still hanging in there. Not Shasta daisies, my goodness, I can't think of the Osteospermum. The buried treasure Osteospermum. I actually wasn't sure if this one was going to do that well because in the beginning of the season it was kind of shrouded out, but it definitely stole the show, and the Callibroca is kind of weaning off to this side. So very much enjoyed, and I think this one was just really pretty. And before I go too much further, kind of went up the one side. Also, giant sunflower I did not plant. They have been the talk of my garden this year. Everyone comes over and comments on my sunflowers, and I keep saying, yep, I didn't plant any of them. And yes, they are very, very tall. On this side, I did have a really pretty arrangement in here where it was the zeolites calendula that filled the whole thing, and then it had a ring of pansies and violas around the bottom, but it got too hot, got too stressed, so I ended up ripping all that out and trying to replace it with something else just to give it another look. I forget what these are called, but I'm not a fan, so I probably wouldn't buy these again. This is supposed to be a white, I think it was a bird of paradise, a white one. And the leaves look good, the foliage looks good, but I haven't seen a flower. And then I thought the salvia would fill it out nicely, which it has done. Unfortunately, it's a little like shadowed, so you don't get to see as much of it. More of the zeolite calendulas are popping up in it, so I'm just letting that happen. Looks like there's a hyacinth bean too. And the sweet pea decided to really hold on. And it was kind of fun seeing the sweet peas a little bit, but obviously they've turned to seed, so I'll just harvest those. And we'll see, maybe try it again next year because I did really like it. My Chinese foreign marbles definitely took over this area, along with, again, a bunch of hyacinth beans. I didn't plant those, but I do really like the way they stick up out of the foreign marbles, so maybe I'll try and replicate that again next year, or not, and it'll do it itself. Not really sure. My black-eyed Susans also highly took over this year, which I'm not upset about. They look beautiful. Losing that giant boxwood, I think, gave everything space to just take over and do what it wants. And finally this year, I got to really enjoy a queen lime zinnia. I had two of them, but this one just got shadowed from the foreign marbles so much that it died. And I have another one here that's supposed to be green, but it also was too shadowed and didn't really get a chance to bloom. And I kind of wanted to walk in there and show you, but I have some wonderful orb weaver spiders in there, so I'm just gonna let that go. I'm not gonna touch those, but I have one seedling dahlia that looks really good. That one again got shadowed, so I don't know if it is a short variety or if it's just not getting enough sunlight. My cafe au lait also really suffered from not getting enough sunlight, so I haven't seen any blossoms there. But in the middle, I have one called Lucky Number, and it was a really pretty blush pink. So I did enjoy that dahlia. And then behind that is another one that's supposed to be the pink dinner plate, but I think, again, it's just too overshadowed from not getting enough sunlight, because I also didn't have a heart to kill my Chinese foreign marbles. So I kind of struggle with killing plants when they look so pretty. But I'll try again next year. I may not do dahlias in here next year because they don't look super hot. I don't think they get enough space, and I like my foreign marbles too much, so we'll see. I may get a rose, something like that. I have another zinnia here. This is the polar bear. My hydrangea also, no blooms this year. I think it suffered from the cold snaps in the beginning of the year, so I didn't get to see any of the flowers. I'm actually contemplating taking this one out because of how much it suffers from cold snaps, and some years I'll get blooms and some years I won't, and that's kind of annoying for it to take up such a large space but not really give me any pretty shows most of the time, but we'll see. I have another coral zinnia here. Again, this one's really bad with the powdery mildew, and the flowers seem to be suffering more on this one because they're more like single-headed as opposed to the one over there that's kind of like a double head. So I like that one more, but this one was doing that. I don't know if the disease kind of like is making it struggle. I do still have a lavender under there, but it also looks rough, so I'm not sure if that will come back next year. My pot here was really pretty all season and still gorgeous. I love these flowers, but it choked out my verbena. The Dichondra looks good. And it's really floppy. So if I were to do this combo again, which I absolutely would, I probably would take more care to trim it more, but I did not this year. This Gerber daisy came back from last year and is like a huge plant. That is Black-eyed Susan that came up, but this whole section is the same Gerber, and this one's giving me nice long cutting stems. So I've used that in a fair amount of arrangements. And in this container here, I planted, I think, nasturtiums and I think bachelor buttons. I can't remember, but portulaca is growing. So it looks really pretty, just leaving that go. My mom, this is the mom I did the Chelsea chop on this year, and I will say it has made a huge difference. It's not as floppy or falling apart and much more fuller. So even though that was hard to get myself to finally do it, I will probably do that every year. This is a sunflower I did plant. I only planted like maybe 6. It's done now. I believe this was supposed to be the Etsy famous pink sunflower, but it was just yellow. So I was really sure that was going to be the case, but everyone said, no, it's real, try it. So I did, and it's definitely not real, just like I thought. It's just a yellow sunflower. So don't fall for fake flower colors. This mallow here actually got really neat. It's called Wine Cups. Can't grab this. Really cute flowers. It kind of has spread, so I thought that was fun. I'm gonna let that go. It should come back next year and is a native, so bonus there. Here is another sunflower. Oops. Another sunflower I did plant. This is the Astra Cream. They are really pretty, so my plan is to save some seeds from that. Sorry, I knocked the light over. This basket looks absolutely horrid. It was very pretty all year, but again, I didn't trim these out just because I wanted to see what would happen. And yeah, they don't look great. The Confrina does. That's okay. That's part of learning. This is another sunflower I actually planted. This is the Crimson Queen sunflower. And I do really like the dark colors, so I'm hoping to save some of that seed as well, if I can get it for the finches. An update on my lilac. I did like a whole rejuvenation prune, cut it the whole way down. Scared me half to death. It's one of my favorite flowers. And it wasn't growing very quickly. So I was like, oh no, I killed it. But it obviously has come back full swing. Going to be very full and should be absolutely full of blooms next year. Really excited about that. And then the 3 sunflowers I planted here, I did every, wait, look, monarch. Look at the monarch. Oh, bye. Sorry, that's really exciting. I haven't seen much of those this year. Yeah, so I mirrored the 3 I did over there over here. So again, I've got the Crimson Queen, very pretty. The finches love to land on it and just upside down pull all the seeds out. So I don't even think, yep, I don't have any seeds to save because they've eaten them all, but that's fine. The Astra Cream, this one's mostly done as well. Still some though. And then again, the pink, that's not pink, it's actually just yellow. I planted a pink zinnia here. This one's actually been really pretty. I'm not sure what variety, but it's very pretty. My blue cornflowers, mostly gone, but I still have some blooms every now and then. I did throw in some of the Coral Falls amaranth. They have been huge trap crops for me this year, so I've enjoyed that. I have taken some off and hung them inside dry to use them in future arrangements. And I also planted some foxglove back under here. Now I can see the foliage, they look great, but I was not expecting blooms this year because that's not how they work, they're biennial. So I haven't seen blooms and that's just fine. I should next year. My mallows got massive this year. They spread and they went everywhere. The deer kept eating them, which was annoying, but obviously they are fine with a prune because they keep coming back strong. And I also still have my red daylily under there. This mum I did not Chelsea chop, but I'm thinking it's still kind of full and all together because of its location. Like it's surrounded by so many other plants, it doesn't have the chance to flop over. Looks like it's kind of full of ants too, which is interesting to me. But this is kind of like a burnt orangey mum. I have some apple blossom snapdragons here. They re-sowed from last year, so they're not as pink, but I kind of like the fact that they're lighter. I did plant a cosmos here, but for some reason it's like stunted. It's still giving me really cute little blooms, but it's just not like a big cosmos. I still have some pansies holding on in there. I think the fact that the tree shades them so much allows them to live longer. And I saw my little phlox. And my tree has been glorious again this year. As an update, I did not create a reading nook under there. I had way too much else going on and never even had a chance to relax. And then swinging on to this side, this is a dahlia I bought probably 3 years ago, and I never dug it back up because at that time I didn't really know any better. But it comes back every year, and I'm thinking because it's just so sheltered in this area, it doesn't get cold enough. And I have my cactus and succulents there. My butterfly bush looks beautiful. Another random sunflower I didn't plant, but also beautiful. This is a cosmos I did plant, but I haven't been able to see the blooms because deer keep coming by and chomping them off. But I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be my double Dutch rose, so I haven't got to see much of those this year. And I didn't plant those black-eyed Susans, but I do love them being in that location, and they've spread all over the place, which is fine with me. And yeah, so that has been my crazy front garden this year. Moving on to my vegetable garden. I'm going to give you this view from the front just because she is such a sight to behold. But I do have some netting up because since she is so beautiful and inviting, the deer love to make this their feasting area. So I have some fencing up. I'm going to walk around the back and then we will go in from there. Starting on the side closest to the house, the first thing you'll notice is this giant squash vine, which goes all the way through, all the way up the trellis and going all the way down the other side. I do not know what this is. I've gotten a couple pieces of fruit like this. They're hard. I can't pierce the skin, so I'm assuming it's some type of winter squash. Kind of has a delicata squash look, but a spaghetti squash shape. So I'm assuming it's some sort of cross-pollinated squash, but I don't know. So I'm gonna cut some of those down when they're ready and we'll see what happens. My other thing you'll notice is my very full, very lovely raspberry bushes. There are 2 containers. I did replace one of the raspberries this year with the same variety, and any of the runners that came up at the time, I pulled and put in the pot. And this is the strongest, best raspberry harvest I've ever had. I have so many in the fridge that I may actually be able to freeze some and make some yummy things with it. So that's been really awesome. I'm coming out every day and harvesting handfuls of this glorious fruit, and it's so delicious. On this side, I do have another dahlia here. It doesn't look like I'm going to get blooms from it. Honestly, this was an experiment. I wanted to see how they would do in grow bags because I was running out of gardening space. This should be a white blizzard, but I just don't think it is doing super great in this location, how late I planted it, all of the above. Other than that, and besides it's like a little diseasey, I think. I mean, it looks good. Back here, that's my lettuce patch. It looks like I have some lettuce coming back up, and I did throw some seeds in, which I see coming up. I also have a bunch of raspberries I just kind of threw in. Again, more strawberries, more sunflowers. I just saw like a really giant bumblebee. Look at her. I've never seen a bee that large. Can't even hold herself in the flower. Anyway, the kale looks pretty good. This actually has been my best kale all season, and I think that's because I had so many other kales that were being decimated by white flies and things like that, that this one got a chance to thrive. But obviously the white flies finally found it and they're kind of taking it over, but that's okay because I don't eat a lot of kale. Another sunflower that's in my walking path, but didn't have the heart to kill it. Let's get around that. My arugula, I had to cut this beast down. This is the one I planted last year, and it spread all the way down. I couldn't even walk in this area because it was just nothing but arugula. So I did chop it down. It looks like it's already coming back full-fledged. I have another squash here that I did not plant, so I don't know what it is. Last year it was a butternut. So I'm kind of hoping that's what it is, because I love me some butternut squash. But I did a thing of snapdragons here this year. They're the cherry twist variety. I have to admit, not a huge fan. They're not ugly, so I do like them. But if you were to ask me, do I want this variety versus like the Black Prince or the Apple Blossom, I would pick those over this any day. It's just too, I'm not a huge stripy or very contrasty variegated flower person, so that's probably why. But they did really well. They grew really well. This pot has been full of them all season, so I can say they grow really well. I did have some stuff in here that grew itself, like the calendula and the dill. I did throw in the bachelor buttons, which is why there's a couple there. I threw in some nasturtiums. They didn't really take off. That bronze fennel, I just kind of threw in that pot. Not doing great, of course, because it's in a pot, but and then this one was all poppies and sweet peas, which if I step in here, the poppies I had to cut all down, and I did save the seed, and the sweet peas are just now kicking back in and looking really pretty. There have been some interesting colors, so that's been fun. I also do have some random peppers in here, just overflow that I had nowhere to go, and they're not doing super great just because they're shrouded. This basil is the best basil I have in my entire garden this year. That was all chamomile, and there's a dandelion growing in it, so I just let that go. Another basil. That whole pot was calendulas I dug up, and apparently clover. And I tried to do my squash in this bed this year, so I did get some zucchini, and then all the squash bugs killed them. So I did just re-sow some. And it looks like the patty pan and the yellow squash are coming up, but not my normal zucchini. So, I don't know. May throw another seed in. Also interesting, I grew an amaryllis for the first time this year, and I kind of just threw the bulb in the garden bed, and apparently it's coming back. So, letting that happen. I do have like random weeds and calendulas and fennels and like fennels everywhere. I dug a lot up and I moved a lot of them around, but they must have just went everywhere, and I'm just letting it happen. I have portulaca still growing here, and it looks like it's spread over here, and I still have some pansies going, the Swiss Giants. And this is another thing of snapdragons. I have cherry twist, and I had the apple blossom in here as well. And if I go to this side, I tried to turn this bed this year into my dahlia bed, which obviously it's working. They don't look super great for two reasons. One, this bed is probably my bed that gets the least amount of sunlight, which isn't super great for dahlias. Two, I had this ginormous sunflower grow in the middle, and it just shrouded everything. But I didn't have the heart to rip it down because it was beautiful. But look at that stump. It's giant. Finally, the wind kind of took it down, and I was forced to cut it down, and I think the dahlias are much appreciative. And then also the squash has been growing in here and taking nutrients, so that doesn't help as well. But I have the hot pink Caitlin's Joy growing at the front. I have a bluebird growing, which that's new to me, and it's really pretty. I have a peaches and cream growing up front. I haven't seen it yet. This is one of the seedlings, and it's the first time actually I'm seeing it. It's beautiful. I have a creme de cassis here, and it's either a short one and just not getting enough sunlight, or not doing great. My Cornell bronze is right there, which I'm pretty upset that one got shrouded so much, because I was really excited to see that one. So I haven't seen it yet. I have another seedling. I think this is another seedling that I haven't seen yet, but looks like I'm gonna finally get a bloom, so we'll see. This is an Arabian Night that I bought, and very much love this one. So definitely gonna keep this one moving forward. It's been very prolific. It was the first one to pop out. Probably got the most amount of sunlight. So yeah, dahlias have been fun this year. Kind of a miss for me, unfortunately. I didn't do a super great job, but you know, live and learn. Next year they'll go into a different bed. I've got the ruffled tomato here. This one gets like really foldy, pretty tomatoes. and my friends said they're pretty tasty. I don't really eat tomatoes like plain, so I'm not really good at telling you if it tastes good or not. I make a lot of sauces and salsas, so that's how I taste it. Bell peppers. They were kind of slow to start, probably also due to the fact that there's giant sunflowers taking away a lot of the sun and space. But they're finally starting to kick in. I did have to fertilize because my fruit was getting too small. Well, that one's like really ready. I haven't been harvesting them, and I do need to come out here and do that, but I haven't been eating as many of them, so I've kind of been leaving them on the plant so I could maybe get more red ones. I do have an artichoke there too, and they're still holding on, but they look horrendous. This is another one of the Coral Falls amaranth. This one got eaten down to nubs by deer and yet came back full force. And again, beautiful trap crop. It really helped save some of my plants. And the alyssum at the bottom brings in all the pollinators. I was also a victim of Peppergate, and I was supposed to have purple bell peppers, but instead have banana peppers. So can't complain. Made my first set of pickled banana peppers and have been eating them. I also have a couple varieties of green beans growing here. I'm not a huge fan of green beans, so I don't eat them quick enough. I will say if I am going to eat a green bean, I would prefer it to be fresh from a garden because they're just so much more tasty. But yeah, so I think I'm going to soon rip these out and throw in some new seeds just to get a couple more before the end of the season. And I think I'm going to focus on the jade bean and like this purple one I have that I don't know the name, only the number of it from the store, which is weird. Don't know why I didn't write it down. Another squash I didn't plant. Don't know what it is. This is a plant I did plant in my green stock. This is a Space Master cucumber. Kind of wanted to see what it would do, how it would grow. It's kind of giving me weird fruit that are just like circular because I don't think it's getting a good enough pollination, and or the roots are not a fan of being confined. Plus I didn't support it. But I will say the ones on the ground kind of look the best so far. My green stock too, I definitely love this thing. I re-sowed the lettuce. It grew in wonderfully. The deer came by, ate it, so I put more in. You know, just such is life. I have an arugula in here as well. That's crazy. I have a random spoon tomato that came up from last year I didn't plant. I've got radishes going, which by the way, look how cute and tiny spoon fruit is. And my carrots. My carrots did wonderfully in here, so hopefully these are soon ready to harvest again. Yeah, so this one's just kind of wild. I've got a lot of volunteer things growing. I got some onions. They're really small, so I'll probably just save those and replant next year. This patch here was just another patch of really giant sunflowers. Like, look at the head on this one. Look at that. And the initial plan when planning this space was to have this just be a dahlia patch, because I had the white blizzard dahlias here, which also overwintered from last year, and they did really well. But with being shaded out and whatever the heck else is going through, like this dahlia here, he's all, I mean, he's coming, I see some blooms, it looks horrid. So don't really know that I can judge what they look like based off of that. I have a wild carrot, which actually I've really loved because I use these in a lot of arrangements. My blueberry bush is still there. They don't look too great either. Oops, just fell. This lamb's ear is wonderful. Very much enjoyed having this. But yeah, see this blueberry plant, it looks terrible. Probably its location. It's probably just gonna die, and that's okay. I'm not sure if I'll replant either. This bed turned out to be really nice for carrots. So I have the winter set in here right now. It looks like I'm getting a little bit of spotty germination, which is okay. Might sow more. I do have to thin as well. This patch here is another wild tomato that grew, and I just kind of let it. The deer keep eating it, which is fine because again, it's wild. I don't really care, but it kind of looks just like a standard cherry tomato variety. So I've been harvesting that as well. I also re-sowed some potatoes, but the deer also keep eating those, so I don't know if I'll actually get any. Oh, here we go. Here's some of the fruit. See? Just looks like normal cherry tomatoes. Oh man, there's actually a bunch. I'll have to come out here. Remind me I have tomatoes in my pockets. Another giant sunflower, more fennel and calendula. I have the Tigerella tomato here. Pretty cute. It's stripy. I'm not sure why the fruit is so tiny. They should be a little bigger, but not a fan favorite. So I'm not sure that's one I will grow again. Basil looks great. This should be big rainbow. And this also is not giving me very big fruit. But I've kind of been hearing that from a lot of people this year, so I'm not sure if that's the variety or just the growing conditions this year. But that one was a favorite, so I'll probably grow that again. This is the black crim. I don't know if it gets enough sunlight to be overly black, and I just pulled my first fruit off this week and I haven't had a chance to try it. The deer kept eating that one, so it never really got a chance to set fruit because it kept getting topped. Same with this one. This is the, I think it's Kellogg's Breakfast. Yeah, it's Kellogg's Breakfast. And I just got some fruit off of it, but yeah, it keeps being eaten as well. Oh, and looks like there is one that's kind of ready. Nice fasciated one, so only half of it is ready. Yeah, so I haven't really got a chance to try that one very much. My purple Cherokee was, again, my star this year. I got some really nice big fruits, but then as you can see, they're all kind of tiny again, which is fine. Good for sauces. And my Black Beauty, again, smaller tomatoes, but they were really prolific. They're kind of fizzling out, but I can see they're getting more at the top, so hopefully they'll kick back in and I'll be able to make some sauce. This is my flower experiment green stock for the most part. I've got, look at this beautiful black bachelor button, very pretty. I've got different herbs growing in here, different flowers, perennials. I've got strawberries. They actually look kind of decent for once. Oh, looks like the forget-me-not picked me back up. I have nasturtiums, snapdragons. Those are supposed to be Canterbury bells. I was excited to see them, but they haven't come. Oh, here's some Black Prince snapdragon. So vibrant. I love them. Basil, nasturtium, more black-eyed Susans. The works. Oh, I'm ducking all around. I also have a lavender in here, and I didn't think it would do super great, but I didn't have anywhere else to put it, and it looks like it likes its spot there, so. So yeah, my strawberries kind of got decimated by deer. Unfortunately, they came through and kind of ate it, so I'm trying to protect them now, which it should be okay. They should come back for next year and should be fine. I had a pot here of Cosmos with a sweet potato. Sweet potato got eaten, Cosmos keeps getting eaten. You know, same story, different place. But I do still have some flowers, and it was pretty for a while. I also have a giant Cosmos, so let me come around this way, that is actually growing from the ground, and it is ginormous, along with this really pretty zinnia. This was bachelor buttons, they're dead. I'll probably have to cut that down soon. And then another volunteer sunflower, just loaded with bees. Let's come through the middle now. So on this side, same story, you know, the bell peppers, everything. I have some shishito peppers growing, and I have a black Hungarian, which is kind of like a jalapeno, just black. I find it not to be as spicy. And it did this really weird thing where it grew a bunch of peppers towards the bottom, and then suddenly stopped producing peppers, and now I'm getting flowers again at the top. So I don't really know if that's a variety thing, if it's a season thing, not really sure. Another giant sunflower here. I tried to grow beets here. I'm thinking my ground is just kind of, I don't really know. It should be fine, but they seem to really struggle. It is hot. Maybe it's too hot. I'm not sure. I do have some holy basil and cilantro growing in that little pot. I've got, this is my fire red pepper. Haven't gotten any from that yet, but that's what I use to make my Thai chili sauce. I tried to go ham on poblanos this year. First of all, couldn't find any seeds to buy. And so I had to buy started plants, which I don't really prefer because they're kind of expensive. But I did. And that one does not like its location. I think I've only gotten one pepper off of it. The deer ate it a little bit, so that kind of set it back. I tried to do the whole tomato cage this year, and that kind of helped. I don't know. It's been a rough year for me with peppers. But I did also buy this one, which again, don't prefer it, but I saw it and I wanted to try it because I couldn't buy jalapeno seeds either. And this was a gigantic jalapeno, so I thought that'd be good for stuffed peppers or jalapeno poppers. And it is producing pretty big fruit, so I kind of want to save the seeds from that. This is a Thai chili. Deer ate that, so it's really slow. More shishito peppers. I've got a serrano in there, which is unfortunately this one that kind of got eaten a lot too, so I haven't had a lot of fruit from it. I have a serrano over there as well. The fish pepper. I might grow one of those every year just because they're so pretty. I just kind of like seeing it. And I'm not a fan of variegation, but there's something about the white and green that I kind of like. So, I don't know. Might grow that again. Pepper-wise, I haven't really noticed too much of a flavor or taste, so I haven't used a whole lot of them. I gave them to a friend that likes to cook as well, see if she comes up with something better than I have done. My Fresnos, the plants keep looking really dry and rough. I'm not sure if it's the location, if it's not getting enough water from the irrigation, if it's because the deer keep eating it. I don't really know. But I've at least gotten some. Then this Cosmos is one I didn't plant. And it is this color, but it seems to have like run out of toner or something and turned into a different color, half the plant. It has been very pretty though, and I've used it for a lot of arrangements. Did not anticipate it to get this big, or I wouldn't have planted it with, or wouldn't have kept it with my peppers. So let me climb through the Cosmos jungle here. Most of this area is my jalapenos, and they have done extraordinarily well, especially here towards the end of the bed. I've gotten really nice sized fruit, really delicious, nice amount of spice. So that's been great. And then this poblano has been doing a little better. I've gotten a couple, but again, just not very much. And they haven't been very big. I'm assuming that the sunflowers and stuff are just taking too much of the nutrients. It's kind of stunting them. Moving on. Sorry, I have to fight through the flowers because of my fencing. This bed was my cold crops bed. So I finally, for the most part, ripped everything out of it. Deer got to my beets, but they didn't do especially well, so I didn't really care that much. I'm going to try and do better, which is why I bought some of this, thinking maybe, you know, it's a looser soil, less compact. Maybe I can get a better beet harvest for fall. These are the kales that are like completely decimated. I'm probably going to cut those down when I'm ready to plant for fall. And I did cut all of these things down, but they keep regrowing from the stem. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And I did throw some potatoes up here. I pulled this one out just to see how it was doing, and I didn't get any potatoes. So I've been letting those go, see if I get any potatoes from those. These torch flowers have been also really, really nice for the pollinators. I'm not a huge orange fan, but the bees love it. And they're nice for arrangements. And I also have a really pretty zinnia. I think that one's supposed to be giant purple, even though it's not overtly purple. Another Cosmos I didn't plant. That I believe is my, actually it's probably just a Sensation mix because it's not double blossomed. Sweet potato. I'm going to actually harvest my sweet potato this year instead of assuming it didn't do anything. The deer keep eating it as well, so it's a little rough, but I tried pickling cucumbers this year. My cucumber crop was actually pretty terrible this year. I didn't do so hot. Either I planted them too late or it's just the season. I've kind of heard that from a couple people. I did forget one. But I've gotten a couple, and I don't really eat a lot of cucumbers, so it's fine. I also re-sowed some peas for fall, so hopefully get more of those. This is supposed to be cantaloupe, and I think there was just too much big stuff over there for fall that it just didn't get enough sunlight, so it's very stunted. I don't know if I'll get any fruit. And this runner bean that I didn't plant, it's kind of making its way up there. I have alyssum on this side, really rough looking, but it was pretty for the season. And then I did my cherry tomatoes up towards the front this year. Ooh, that's probably gonna rip off. Anyway, that's that squash from the other side. It's like all over the place. Look at that. It's in my cattle panel. Oh well. But yeah, the cherry tomatoes. Some of the fruits are getting a little smaller because I haven't been pruning as much. The deer have kind of pruned it some for me. They kept eating them and topping them. On this side, like my purple bumblebee got topped twice, and my Napa Rose as well. And the Napa Rose is one of my favorites. So I haven't been pruning them because I seem to not be able to get fruit if I keep pruning them and the deer top them. This Rosella has actually been really nice. It was very difficult to start. It got bug ridden like immediately, and I thought for sure it wasn't gonna live, but now it's popping off like crazy. I did have, oh, what were they called? Can't even think of the name of the flowers I had in there at this point. But I replaced those flowers, took the bulbs out, kept them for next year, and I have peppers in here, which I thought were both Thai chili. So that one is Thai chili, but this one's a bell pepper. So, whoops. Oh well. I also had a bean come up. I believe it's the long noodle bean from last year, but the deer ate it, so I don't think it'll do anything. My bee balm looks okay. The alyssum on this side died. I forgot another cucumber. Just was hidden from my sight. And on this side I have the Marketmore 76. Again though, really rough. So I didn't get a whole lot of cucumbers, you can tell. They just suffered a lot this year. But that's okay. I've got snap peas growing in then for fall instead. And I do at least have Kajari melons finally. So I got a couple little ones of those, hoping to get some. I had some at a friend's house and was reminded how delicious they are. And one thing I kind of kept glossing over, but you've probably seen it in several shots. This is one of the reasons I was busy this year. My husband decided that gardening is a passion of mine and is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. So if it's a hobby I'm going to continue to pursue, then I should enjoy it while I can. So we bit the bullet and bought a greenhouse this year. It was a kit that we had to self-assemble, and it's not completely done yet. I still am having flooring installed, but it is so cool, really fun, and I'm really excited to learn from it. Currently, I've got my fall crops in here. I've got some insect nettings because they're mostly brassicas and such to protect them. And it's pretty hot, so they're probably not loving it right now. But I had to take them out of the place they were inside, and I figured, why the heck not? I didn't even harden them off because I really wanted to put them to the test. And I can see some of them are a little like, what in the heck? But for the most of them, they look pretty good. So I figured that's a good trial by fire. But yeah, so more to come on this one. When the flooring's done, I'll show you the setup. But for now, the plan is to like load this wall with shelving to do seed starting. I got a potting bench that's going to be over here. And then I got myself a little rocking chair and table from a yard sale. I have Edison bulbs right now. So yeah, planning to have a lot of fun with this space. And I will show you what I can. So that is my wild, lovely and free vegetable garden. All right, so now let's look at our patio garden here. I got this cute little cart from my neighbor who found it somewhere for free. So I decided to make it like a mojito theme, which was really fun. I've got apple and orange mint growing down there. I had calendula and bronze fennel. This, unfortunately, is dying, probably because it's so pot bound. But it was this really neat trailing mint called Coruscant mint. And it was beautiful all season. It's just now kind of dried out. And then I had the dark purple basil, and I used that for fresh cut arrangements and all of the mojito mixings. I bought a lavender tree this year too on clearance, and I think it's dead because like if I snap a branch here, it's not green. So I'll probably have to compost that. This pot was huge all year. Definitely sing the praises of this Silver Vista petunia. And I have an osteospermum in here that doesn't really have any blooms, but like the leaves have gotten bigger, so I think it'll maybe kick back up for fall. And I also had a royal purple verbena in here, but it got choked out. So I brought down my other pot of mint, which obviously it's flowered at this point, so I probably should move it so I don't have mint growing everywhere. But this is a mixture of spearmint and peppermint, and again, nice for pollinators. My pots here actually looked lovely all year. It's just now getting the point where the hostas are like, oh my gosh, it's way too hot. The deer came by and ate all of my sweet potato vines that were like growing intermingly on both sides. And this one's even more burnt. I think it gets more sunlight. But that's okay because they're still pretty neat. The dragon's blood and the Goldilocks are spilling out still, which I think is pretty. I've got random sweet potatoes growing on the ground. I've got some dragon's blood growing here. So this pot was a mixture of yellow and strawberry blonde calendulas. They did pretty. The Gomphrena, lovely. The Euphorbia actually really held its own this year, and I really liked this pot combo. It's a little romantic for my taste. I usually like a little bit more severe pops, but this was really nice too. This Calibroca here, I forget what variety it is, but it was pretty full of blooms all season. Just now it kind of looks a little lax. This is a succulent. I actually have this outside because I had it in my greenhouse, but right now the greenhouse has been empty because I'm about to have the flooring in. And surprisingly, these violas are still going. My plan is to take these out of the pot soon and plant them, so hopefully they'll reseed and come up next year. I planted cosmos on both sides of this garden this year, and I think I saw one bloom, and this one happened to be white. But again, the deer keep eating them before they do anything. My hostas did pretty well. I actually got some flowers. I've got marigolds that have also self-seeded coming back up. 2 Gompphrenas, which it doesn't get enough sunlight, so they didn't go crazy, but they've been a nice little accent. My lavender, if I can look through this tree, is looking pretty lush, so that's great. And I actually, for the first year, got quite a bounty of stargazer lilies, so that was really nice as well. If I come to this side, same thing, hostas, Gomphrena, marigolds all along the front, and another cosmos that I don't even know what color it is. And my little fountain. This little pot arrangement was really cute for me this year. That pot is new, and I planted a bunch of different nasturtiums in it, so it's kind of nice to have the like cherry jewel pop of color. I put the lemon mint in here, which I don't really use lemon mint, but the flowers are beautiful and the pollinators love them, so I grow it for that. This is stevia, and this is actually the best looking stevia I've grown, and that one I did from seed. And this pot was supposed to be dill, and it was full of dill, and it was very luscious. And there's something with the pot, I think I left too much sand in it, but it wouldn't drain. So they all ended up dying from just being too wet. So I replaced it a couple different times. I put calendula in there, the deer ate it. I put something else in there and it died. And then I had these last bit of little peppers that didn't have a home, and I shoved them in here, and they really like it. And I'm pretty sure they're Fresno, even though they're kind of dark. Pretty sure that's what they are, but they really like it there. So a chair. I did a pot here of Thai basil and lantanas, which I don't use Thai basil either, so I've just let that go to seed. And I had a nice luscious basil here, but I let it go to seed, and therefore it's kind of dead. Another thing I'm kind of glazing over is the other huge project we did this year, which is we had a roof installed and expanded our patio. We kind of wanted to do that for a couple different reasons. A, when you're out here during the day, there's really no escaping the sun. This umbrella works, but you know, you have to chase the sun with it. So if you were sitting here, eventually move here, and then by evening time, there's no shade to be had. So we've been talking about doing this for a couple years, plus we thought it'd be lovely to sit out here when it was raining and just have a place to eat outside of the sun. And so we finally did it. My uncle owns a hardscaping company. He's the one that did our original patio. And then he's the one that linked it up to the new patio, built us this lovely retaining wall. It's not completely finished. He's got a couple extra pieces to do, but he got it good enough that we were able to actually sit on it for the first time this year. And we had dinner outside last night, which is why I have a little arrangement here. So yeah, another thing that's kept us really busy, but very much love it. Little succulent too that I had in my greenhouse as well. My herb corner, obviously the parsley is now bolting, going to seed. My thyme and oregano, I think that's the best decision I made herb wise, is to just let this bucket be those two, because I've had a glorious amount of thyme and a glorious amount of oregano to use in my cooking. I did another pot of basil. This was a mixture of purple and cinnamon. I didn't use the cinnamon for anything but making basil tea, and the purple I used obviously on like pizzas and stuff. And then I did a pot of sage and rosemary, which worked out really well. I'm hoping that the rosemary overwinters again this year. I have my pencil cactus here. My aunt gave me a cutting of this years ago, and I've had it ever since. Again, I had put that in the greenhouse. And my portulaca. This pot is kind of looks like it's done. The black cherry petunia looks like it's worn out, but the snapdragon's filled in. These sweet potato vine got a little eaten from deer. The lantana's kind of taken over. I had a hibiscus in here, but the deer ate it to nubs. So it looks like it's trying to come back. And I tried to throw in a canna lily to kind of replace the hibiscus so it would be pretty, but I never got a bloom from it either. So this is my other herb pot. Again, it's a parsley that's bolting. I'm still eating off of it for now, but I'll be cutting that down soon. And it's kind of getting to the point where cilantro is ready to come back, so I've got some cilantro going. And this is another one of my grow bag dahlia tests I did. Now this one is actually blooming, but the blooms are significantly smaller from the pot than when they were in the garden, which I'm not sure if that matters to me, because it's kind of pretty and cute and nice little accents. All right, so let's go ahead and walk back to the shed quickly. Things are looking rather rough back here. Haven't had a lot of time for this area, but I still have some pansies going. They're still growing, and looks like some of them reseeded, so I haven't touched those. And I actually got my milkweed. It came back from last year, and it actually grew very lovely, and it's already sent off its nice little milkweed seeds. And hopefully I surprised some of my neighbors with a plant they probably didn't want, but it's good for the environment. And I have petunias in here and a random straw flower. My straw flowers were never even back this way, but it's my favorite color. My compost pile, I keep cleaning it up, and then it gets messy again, and then I clean it up and it gets messy again. So I don't know, we have to figure out a solution, because we have too much things that need composted and what to do with them, and I'd rather not throw them in the trash. So I kind of just keep turning this for now and hoping that we figure out a better solution. The spinner thing is okay. Just takes a lot longer than you would think it would, and difficult to get into, and I fill it up really quickly. So plant-wise though, I still have my 2 portulacas. This window basket has been my most favorite combination I've ever done. The Goldilocks should come back next year anyway, so that's great. The petunias filled in very nicely, and then just a little bit of calendulas in the back to add some height, and it was very pretty all season. I have my chocolate mint back here. Still have my chives going. A random pot of portulaca again, probably fell. And then my cactus is still back here. But that's really it. The Chinese four marble, which I kind of glazed over, also, you know, grew itself. I didn't plant that. And it looks like I've got some random melon growing, maybe squash. Looks kind of cucumberish actually with the flowers. I did have a potato growing in here somewhere too. I don't know. So yeah. Otherwise, it's just a lot of compost. I try to do this as like sacrifice to the deer, and hopefully they will leave my garden alone. It hasn't worked yet, but I keep trying. So that is my back patio garden. I'm still on my patio and about to transition to my pollinator side garden, but I did want to add what I'm hoping to do next year as well is to build long, tall, very skinny planters to kind of simulate a wall on this side, and trellis them up to the roof and grow really pretty climbing plants like pollinator, tropical, those sort of things, to help give the patio a little bit of privacy when we're out here, but also to be very pretty. So we'll see if I get to that next year. But as far as my side garden goes, it's very dirty, very rough right now due to all the construction, which is why everything looks really dusty. We did have to dig up some of this area as we had to reroute some gutter work. But my hellebores are still there. The calendula is still there. And my sweet peas, this experiment actually worked out really well. I feel like they were slower than I was anticipating to grow. But once they kicked in, I got all kinds of fun colors. It smelled lovely. So I'm probably going to do that again next year because I really enjoyed that. This elephant ear here was a gift from one of the doctors I work with. Look how giant. It's so cool. So I want to save the bulb from that too, and hopefully be able to overwinter it. My fountain glass, oh my gosh, I can't talk. My purple fountain grass did not get as big as it did last year, assuming it's just not getting enough sunlight. The heuchera though looks really good. Larry is currently out of commission, so his base is just here and Caleb's had to mow. But I also have a cucamelon that has come up and has been pretty prolific. I haven't gotten any fruit from it yet. Oh, but there is some on there. I just haven't looked, so I'll have to get those. So goldenrod. Yeah, so when I planted this, it was not this big. I did not know. I guess I probably should have looked, but I don't usually look. I usually like to just plant and see what happens by doing. But it's really pretty. The pollinators like it. I really like it, so I'll probably keep it, but I'm gonna have to keep it in check because I know it spreads kind of wildly. So I did have some pretty cosmos here, which they're still going, but they kind of got overshadowed and knocked down, and some of them got broken off. So, you know, I did have a borage I planted under there too, which obviously not getting any sunlight. And I think I had forget-me-nots under there. But yeah, so they definitely kind of took over, but the bees are pretty happy about it. My crepe myrtle also kind of being overshadowed by the whole mass of goldenrod, but it's also very succumbed to powdery mildew. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do about that. I might trim it back and like have it push out all new growth. It is a pretty color, so I'm pretty happy about the color. but it's that or I need to change its location. Maybe it just doesn't get enough sunlight. I'm not sure. This is what the giant purple zinnia should look like. It's very pretty. I also have a native, if you can see it, a native purple mist flower there, which also got overshadowed by the goldenrod. This straw flower, it's this pretty like watermelon color. This is not a color I had last year, but I have been harvesting it like crazy because I very much enjoy the color. And my hibiscus, my hardy hibiscus, I'm so happy. It did live, it did come back, and it did put on its beautiful flower show. So that made me pretty happy. I also have like a calendula in there, and I have a Gerber daisy. It's not really pushing up very many flowers because it doesn't get enough sunlight. And once again, I had some sort of gourd take over, and I don't know why or how, but I guess I'll have some fun Halloween decorations again. Black-eyed Susan. There's another pot of cosmos and sweet potato. This one at least looks prettier. My hyssop, gorgeous. Recommend that to anybody looking to please pollinators and just have a tall, pretty flower. Unfortunately, again, since I planted it last year for the first time, I did not know it got this large. So I have a penstemon hidden back there somewhere that didn't get any light, so it didn't bloom or anything. And a dahlia, which didn't get any light, so it didn't bloom. Pretty sure that dahlia is the Arabian Night, so it's not like I didn't get to see it, but Crimson Cream again, that's one I did plant. Don't really care about hurting the squash at this point. I did do the double champagne hollyhocks, so I got to enjoy those. And I have a black hollyhock under it. Kind of looks like it's succumbed to rust a lot. But that should be fine because it should come back next year and actually bloom. I also got this, I forget what this is. It's some sort of native wildflower thing. I kind of left it because I thought it was cool. I have a milkweed that got pulled down a lot by the squash that's growing. I have a dahlia here. This should be the Black Touch, which I have not seen yet here at my house. But I did see it at a friend's house where I planted another bulb of it. It's not actually my favorite, so can't say I'm overly upset about that. And then this poor dahlia, yeah, look at that. It just broke off from the stem. It's my spider cactus, and I have another one growing anyway. But you can tell it's trying to regrow because they will do that. Just again, they're just not getting enough sunlight because I didn't anticipate the garden turning into what it did. So it's my fault, but all of these sunflowers are also not planted by me. My little mini rose bush actually did really well this year. I wasn't sure if it would come back. I have some foxglove there that I got from a friend that I planted. My coneflower, it has a little bit of this mottling, but otherwise, you know, they look really good and healthy. So hopefully they'll come back and do even better next year once they get a little bit more sun. Another Black-eyed Susan, and as you can tell too, like I have a bunch of different gourds. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it very much though. If I sneak in a little bit because I see another spider web. My peony still doing okay. I had another random delphinium come up. The other ones I let go to seed mostly because I'm hoping they take over that area. Oh, I ruined the spider web anyway. That should be an aromatic aster right there. And then that Black-eyed Susan is like a large variety. I also have the green twister echinacea back there. I got a couple nice flowers off of it, but it was mostly just getting established this year, and it'll come back nice next year. I also transplanted some comfrey from my grandpa's garden, so looking forward to that. And this pot is Canterbury bells and apparently portulaca. I haven't seen the bells yet, but they should be perennial, but I think they're perennial because they spread their seeds for the next year, and since they don't have flowers, I don't know if they'll come back. Fennel, This pot was my bubblegum petunia with a black eye, or with a sweet potato vine, and obviously it didn't do well, just not enough sunlight. So usually that's my favorite, but I kind of didn't give it a good chance. Basil, the Emerald Falls amaranth. This is one of my favorites too. It was, again, a really nice trap crop, which you can tell by the extremely pest-ridden leaves. But the tassels have been really fun to put in arrangements. I've got a couple hanging in my house to dry. Yeah, really like it. Pretty happy with that. This variety of the larger black-eyed Susans is kind of done, but it's hiding a beautiful straw flower that came up itself. The sage, still doing amazing. I've been cutting more of it, using it in arrangements. Another straw flower. This comb flower is doing really well. It's doing a little better. Still getting a little mottled at time, but this is a seedling dahlia, so it's a variety I didn't know what it would be, and can't say I'm unhappy about it. It's pretty. What else? I have my Veronica still there. This is another of the spider mix dahlias. They're very pretty, but kind of a shorter variety. I also have the red sombrero comb flower, and I have some mallow there, and way back there is some foxglove that I planted this year, and I actually got to see a tiny little stem of blooms hidden in the leaf, because it shouldn't bloom this year. So hopefully that'll self-seed and come back up and be this really pretty foxglove show. My cosmos definitely stolen the show this year. I've been really enjoying those. I also had some of the flamingo celosia come back. I've been using these occasionally, like some of just the single spikes. The deer also ate them, but they do kind of come back, so that's been nice. I think this is supposed to be the green envy zinnia, and then this random pink one I didn't plant, but is always very pretty. And I think that's a dahlia that is a seedling that I have not seen yet. And behind it, the pretty Astra cream sunflower. Another milkweed. This one is about to throw its seeds all over the place, so hopefully I'll spread them everywhere. And I've got some larkspur growing. I still have a daylily there. The plant in the back here did end up being a yellow gaillardia, so we'll leave that go. And I have a monarda back there, a native purple monarda. But mostly just cosmos here. My limelight hydrangea has been beautiful again this year. This mist flower kind of tapered out. Again, sunflowers. Alyssum, all my irises. My yarrow did this really weird thing where it got like brown, almost like completely disease ridden, and I was worried, but it pushed out all new growth and looks really good. I've got a flock started on this side, and I got some more ajuga, but the jewel variety, which is really pretty. Another zinnia, bunch of weeds. Another area of straw flowers I didn't plant. I've got the red and the darker color. And then these two are new pots I did this year. I wanted to try growing zinnias in a pot just to see what it would do. Obviously they're a lot smaller than I prefer for cutting, but I'm still cutting them because that just helps encourage growth. And the coral one's kind of done the best in here. There's a decent pink one and white one, and then the green one is in here too, but I kind of want to grow this one again in a location that it gets the full benefit so I can really see it. I have a verbena in here, and I also did an Astra cream in here as well, which was really pretty. But yeah, overall, my pollinator side garden this year was another spectacular show. Very full, very lovely, tons of colors, tons of pollinators. There are a lot of things that didn't go to plan, of course, but you know, that's kind of how it goes. And I've just really enjoyed getting to see it grow and do its things. And I don't know, couldn't be happier. Anyway, thanks for watching.